The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Hope you guys all, especially those of you in Arkansas, stayed safe throughout the day on Wednesday. The storms were crazy and scary, and saw some of the videos. And man, I really hope everybody is doing well and thinking of you and the loved ones out there. It's that time of year, man, and it's you get excited because the days are a little bit longer and spring is in the air and the temperature's warming up, but the storms, man, and the tornadoes and everything, very, very scary stuff. So hope everybody is doing well, but glad that you're here. Appreciate you. And right off the top of the show here, I want to say that I'm super excited to announce that the Pod of the Palace and all of our transfer portal coverage here is officially sponsored now by our new partners at the Eye Center in Fayetteville. Shout out to our buddy Whitty, longtime listener and follower with us at Inside Arkansas, him and his family for helping get the ball rolling on this. Awesome. I appreciate it. I'm so appreciative, honestly, for all of our sponsors, but this one, this particular place, it's close to my heart. I'm extremely, extremely grateful to be able to represent and promote them. Most of you guys at this point, especially this week, you know my story, right? But a big part of the reason why I was able to get a diagnosis and the care that I need for my eyes, it's thanks to the Eye Center. It really is. Just a couple years ago, about this time, honestly, Arkansas had that long NCAA tournament run. We were in Des Moines, and then we were off to Vegas, and we came back home. It was portal season, hot and heavy, and I was worn out, and my vision was getting kind of funny, feeling weird. I sensed that something was off. I was having some pain in my eye, so I went in, got checked out, and those guys at the Eye Center, they were super thorough. They caught something in their eval that didn't look right to them. They got me set up with an MRI right away. Got me right back in there ASAP as soon as it was determined that there was a tumor there on my optic nerve. They got me set up with UAMS, and they've been great ever since. So owe them a lot. Really appreciate them for helping me figure out what's going on. And now it's crazy that we're starting this now because, just earlier this week, I was back at UAMS for some follow-ups, some scans, some checkups to see how everything was looking. Finally, I'm officially cleared to get some real non-blue light blocker prescription glasses that are going to help me a ton. And I'm going to go right back to the Eye Center this week to get those. I'm excited about it. If you're tired of, misplacing your reading glasses or missing the big plays during the game because you can't see what's going on, the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas can fix that for you. Your vision, it's essential to your quality of life. I've learned that, and professional eye care is a must for you and your family. They're award-winning eye doctors and board certified and professionally active, yet they're patients. They talk the most about how caring and friendly they are. And I can personally attest to exactly that. Every patient receives the best of new vision care technology, plus the old-fashioned personal attention. They offer custom cataract surgery and custom refractive lens exchange surgery inside their clinic location right there in Fayetteville. Refractive lens exchange, that's RLE. It's for people 40 or older. I'm not quite there yet. I'm getting there. But those who are starting to struggle with their near vision, wanting to get rid of their glasses, their contacts, but they're not candidates for LASIK. The Eye Center offers free screenings for those of you who would be interested in having reflective lens exchanges. Check them out. If you or somebody that has cataracts, you can call the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas today. It's 479-442-2020 and schedule a cataract evaluation with one of their surgeons. You can also check out their website, www.eyecenternwa.com, for more info. Okay. Had to get through that. Really, really appreciate those. I can't say enough how thankful I am for them and how excited I am to be partnered. But let's get into it, folks. I appreciate you and your patience. And I don't mean just for the ad read. I mean for the portal season, right? The transfer portal waits for nobody. That includes John Calipari and the Arkansas Razorbacks. We're seeing that now. Do you feel left out? Do you feel like you're missing out a little bit on the fun? That's okay. Heck, you should. But here's the thing. Everybody knows that the cool kids always show up fashionably late to the function. That's how it is. Okay. And it was another semi-frustrating day out there for Razorback fans who are tired of hearing me preach what I just did. Patience, right? Even though I promise you, in the long run here, it's going to pay off. But I get it. It was another on what feels like a dwindling list of boards that's off the board as Malik Reneau commits to Miami. I know a lot of you hate him anyway, so you don't care, but it was one that Arkansas was talking to that's no longer an option. Another known target that Arkansas was in on, Keyshawn Hall. He's in the almost Arkansas Hall of Fame now. 2 years in a row, you almost had him, and then you didn't get him for different reasons. But he pops for Auburn, going to play for Bruce Pearl, and they get that done while they're prepping for the Final Four. So you're sitting here and you're like, all right, so Arkansas doesn't get a transfer again today. Okay. It's also another day where there's zero news on the retention front. I understand. Like, it's just testing my patience just a little bit too, right? I know a lot of folks will point to, Cal not being hired yet this time a year ago. And I talked to the team. There was no team, right? Not having the roster wrapped until June. I get it. I understand all that. But to those who are frustrated, I also see what you're saying, because I think that conversation comes with a little bit of context needed, right? Because Arkansas had a 9-man roster this past season. 6 of the recruitments Cal had already done. Like 3 of the freshmen who were already committed to him, 3 Kentucky players who had already played for him. Now, he had to convince all of them that Fayetteville was the move to make, right? But those relationships were already built. Like the foundation was already laid there. Trevin Brazil, already a Razorback, and came back to Cal late. So, if we're being real honest here, but yeah, there's work that went into that. They were behind the 8 ball, no doubt about it. But they really only had to identify, target, and go start to finish and close on Nelly and Jonas. So this is a little bit of a different situation. But that being said, slow starts, I shouldn't say slow starts, because it's strategic. Playing the long game during portal season is probably a better way to put it. It's just kind of Cal's thing. It's such a major, cultural shift from what we experienced under Muss. His last year at Kentucky, Cal had his freshman class, all of his freshmen coming in, and Ugonna Onyenso. And that was it, man. Like well into the summer. It was late in the game when they finally convinced Antonio Reeves to come back to school. They got Trey Mitchell late because Bob Huggins was drunk joyriding and got fired at West Virginia. And then he pulled Big Z out of Croatia in August, like right as school was getting ready to start, to fill out the roster. So he takes his time, but he always figures it out. And I think he's earned that benefit of the doubt with us, right? Like I will choose to trust John Calipari's roster building track record and history of success, his plan that he has here, and knowing that we still have, 3 weeks where names are going to hit the portal. I imagine multiple guys we, haven't even talked about yet are going to wind up being Hogs in the end. So I get it. Like I feel like we're kind of on the outside looking in right now. Everybody else is kind of having fun out there, and we're like, all right, our time's coming, but we're waiting. We're checking the watch, like, when is it going to be? Arkansas is going to field a roster that on paper is going to be as talented as anyone in the SEC next season. I have zero doubt about that. The question is, when the heck do they plan on getting started? Because outside of Big Z hitting the portal, it's been radio silent for a week now since the season ended. And now this episode's going out Thursday morning. So we are entering a week-long dead period where on the visit front, nothing can happen. Doesn't mean guys can't commit or contacts can't be made and everything like that, but you can't have them on campus. So in my opinion, folks, I think one of 3 things, probably some combination of all 3, is going on right now. Like if you want to, maybe a nuanced explanation of, I don't know if I'd call it a holdup, but what the delay is here. 3 things. I'm going to try to drop a little bit of knowledge on you. 1, we know for a fact, and we've talked about it here daily, that the top priority for this coaching staff is retention. They're working on getting back the guys they want, because I think they understand and they realize the importance of continuity when it comes to cutting down the nets and winning championships. Go look at the Final Four right now. With the exception of Duke, that's put together a little bit different. They've got guys like Tyrese Proctor, Caleb Foster, some guys back, but a lot of them, it's just a ton. It's retention, man. Houston, a lot of guys that have been there for a while, right? Auburn, a lot of those guys have played together, and they just supplemented with a couple pieces there. It really matters. So, I continue to be told that there's a strong push going on behind the scenes to get kind of a mega NIL package together for a Duthero to get him back at Arkansas for his senior season. Is it going to work? I hope so. But that's a big piece of it, an important one for sure. But the rest of these guys, listen, there are NIL negotiations, role discussions, roster build conversations. There's a lot to be hashed out and considered. And I know we hear about exit meetings and all that, and I think those have already all happened by this point in the week here. But it's not as simple as just having like a 20-minute meeting with Cal and then making a decision. Yeah, I'm back. Nah, I'm out. It's not like that. Like families are involved, agents are involved. There's going to be some back and forth. It's negotiation. It's like contracts, and in the league, honestly, it takes time. I get it, but I will say once again that for some of these guys here, I do think Arkansas would really benefit if we could get to announcement season sooner rather than later, so this staff can really attack accordingly. And there's a thought process out there that just because we don't know doesn't mean the staff doesn't know. You might be right, but I know that they're still waiting on a couple of decisions that they're not sure about here as we move forward. And you can tell kind of by the way they're attacking things right now in the transfer portal. The sooner there's full clarity, the better off Arkansas is going to be in terms of going out here and putting this roster together. That's part of it, right? Next, like, it's also worth noting that while Arkansas has plenty of NIL money, like money ain't an issue for them, but keeping all these guys or however many they want to keep, it's going to cost them, right? When you don't know how much, you can't be spending super recklessly in the portal. If that makes sense. Like you kind of have to see, how much you're spending on the current things in your house before you go out and get a bunch of new decorations. You got to know what that budget looks like. So, okay, retention is one part of the equation. The other part of this is, I wonder, is Arkansas operating with somewhat of a hard out in NIL conversations with these transfers? Because we've heard, they had an offer somewhere in the 1.2 to 1.5 million dollar range for Morez Johnson, NIL wise. Michigan offered more, and that was part of the reason why he wound up going there. Okay. Did Arkansas have a chance for a final offer? Did they balk at it? Did they not want to go up? Did they not want to overpay? Same thing with Keyshawn Hall. We heard, and again, this is all rumor, like some of it comes from better sources than others, but you never really know. We hear all these numbers thrown around all the time. A lot of times they're exaggerated or just outright wrong. But we just go based off what we heard. And the $2 million range for a guy like Keyshawn Hall, which, hey, he's good for it. He's a very good player. But then you hear Auburn might have thrown 3 at him. Did you get outbid? Did you try to make a counter offer? Or was that like, hey, this is where we're willing to go right now, but we're not going to stretch ourselves out? Maybe they're overextending themselves a little bit for their returners. Or maybe, just maybe, and this goes back to the patience part of the discussion, this coaching staff knows better than we do about how this market's going to fluctuate and evolve. And if they feel strongly that better options are coming available, they probably aren't stressing about having to overextend or overpay now to get a guy. We see teams every year, looking at you, Eric Musselman, y'all remember this, who shoot their wad in the first couple weeks of portal season, and then they don't have the budget to be involved later on when the big fish come available. That movement, that wave of portal season is coming. And there's been some good names who have been out there and some good pickups by other teams and competitors that you have. Don't get me wrong. I get it. There are guys that I would have liked Arkansas to have. I would have loved them to have Morez Johnson. Absolutely. I think Keyshawn Hall would have been a lot of fun for the Razorbacks, but there are other really good players who are going to become available here. And you want to be in position to where you can go out there and get those guys from a financial standpoint. And so I do. I think that that's part of it as well. The third thing that I wonder about that we need to keep under consideration here, it's Nate Ament. Like with the way his recruitment has gone and all the back and forth, some indecisiveness on, am I committing on this date? Am I not? Am I sold on? Am I pushing it back? When is it going to happen? And then him saying at the McDonald's All-American game, the press conference, that He's also kind of waiting to see what his suitors are going to do in the portal and the roster that would be around him. Is Arkansas also in a position where they're playing a balancing act with that, as well as knowing that if he does come to Cal and say, yo, I want to be a Razorback, you're probably on the hook for realistically like in excess of $3 million or so to seal the deal. I mean, maybe that's part of it too, right? Like you don't want to recruit over an elite, lottery pick type of talent like that and run him off because you get a transfer because you're a little bit impatient and you want to make a move. And then you also want to make sure that you've got the money in the piggy bank to be able to land him if he does want to commit. So maybe that's part of it. And between, retention, waiting out the portal to see how it develops, and then a guy like Nate Ament still being out there, which is rare at this stage of the game, I think it might explain a little bit. And so pragmatism will drive you nuts. I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan, and they do this crap all the time where they wait it out, and they're pragmatic. They talk about low-hanging fruit and not being reactionary to the market and everything. And lately it's been biting them in the rear end, and they stink because of it. But for the longest, you just kind of have to like trust the process. They would always figure it out, and they would always be there in the end. They would always put together the roster. They would always make the moves they needed to make. And I hope that Calipari is on the Cardinals track of a few years ago, as opposed to what they're doing right now. So look, I know we see Louisville and Michigan and Auburn throwing around money like crazy right now. We wonder, like, when is Arkansas going to get in on the fun? I just think it's a little bit more nuanced right now than those programs make it look. Like Arkansas is their goals are a little bit different. The approach is different. The priorities are different. So there you have it. But right. And this is a perfect segue, I think, into our What to Watch segment with our friends over at Bryant Technologies. You guys know the drill at this point. Bryant Technologies, they're dedicated to delivering high quality network infrastructure and security camera solutions. They take pride in their exceptional workmanship and commitment to keeping your business operations seamlessly connected and secure. They do a little bit of everything, whether it's structured cabling, security camera installation, digital signage, TV mounting. Bryant Technologies have you covered. And it's not just the state of Arkansas, it's all of the bordering states as well. Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, you name it, they can take care of you there. Have Bryant Technologies help you with all of your network and security needs. Give them a call, 870-883-0330, or check out their website at bryanttechnologies.com. That's www.bryants, make sure you get that S in there, technologies.com. And it gets us into our What to Watch For segment. Here's the thing, folks. Arkansas could retain Carter Knox and Billy Richmond and Trevin Brazile and Adu Thero and Boogie Flan, and they would still have two very glaring needs, right? Reliable perimeter shooting and multiple SEC caliber big men. So before we wrap up for the night, what is the latest on those fronts? And as we know, it moves quickly. So I hope that everybody's been listening to these episodes in the morning or early in the day, because by the end of the night, things tend to change a little bit, right? Let's start with shooting, because I find that to be a little bit more complicated than meets the eye here, because of the potential, honestly, for somewhat of a backcourt logjam, if you really think about it, because we do not know for sure yet what it's going to look like, and hopefully, God willing, we get a little bit of clarity here. But there's a potential there for a rotation that includes Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas, DJ Wagner, Carter Knox, and Billy Richmond at the 1 through 3. That's a lot. That is a lot there. If you're looking to find a spot to put a shooter in, I do think, or at least I'm told, that Miami is on the verge of adding Trey Donaldson, point guard out of Michigan, which might take that DJ Wagner going with Bruiser Flint, taking his talents to South Beach rumor off the table. We'll keep an eye on it. And I think it's interesting, because as soon as I heard that about the potential for Donaldson going to Miami, I started hearing there maybe a little bit more optimism that DJ runs it back at Arkansas. Are those two things, coinciding with each other? Is that a coincidence? I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. But where do the minutes come from for a sniper? I really wonder because like you would be set, I think, at the one with Acuff and DJ, Malik and Carter at the 2, Carter and Billy. I think Carter can play their spot there at the 3. I mean, you could squeeze some in there strategically, but guys, imagine being Lamar Wilkerson, looking at that versus Kansas, who's hot on him right now. The money is going to be there both ways from an NIL standpoint. He's going to be well taken care of, and he's earned every penny that he winds up getting. But like on one hand, you've got the home state school who you want to play for, but there's kind of an uncertain path to the role that you need or want if you're going to maximize your last year before you try to go make money professionally doing this. On the other hand, you do have Bill Self, a blue blood with an empty cupboard, right? Where you have a much more clear vision to a major role. So it gives you some things to think about. And that's the other part of this that we have to consider. Now, if one of these guys winds up not returning, like if DJ hits the portal or Bill, like whoever else, any of those guys that we just mentioned in that hypothetical, backcourt and wing rotation, I think you get Wilkerson in a heartbeat. I do. But if they all do return, I think he does have a tough decision to make at the end of the day. So we'll see what it looks like. I don't think it's a deal where, like Cal doesn't want him. No, I think he does. That he doesn't want to be at Arkansas. No, I think he does. I think he'd like to be. That the money isn't there. They're lowballing him. No, I don't think that's the situation at all. The fit has to be there. At the end of the day, these guys have to do what's best for them and their future. And you got to be able to sell them on that vision. So we'll keep an eye on it. And the same would go, not just Lamar. I mean, he's the guy we talked about the most, but Abdi Bashir, who Arkansas has had a Zoom with, or anyone else in that mold of the specialist guard, wing, shooter type, right? That's part of why I think right now, until we get that full clarity of that situation, like, man, getting Brazil back and then having one of your additions at the 5, I think be a floor spacing threat who can knock down some threes feels super, super important to me personally. At any rate, real quick, let's touch on the big man situation here. Morris Johnson out, Malik Renew out. Yaxel at the moment, it at least seems like he's trending elsewhere. Still early in that though, and like we're hitting this dead period. I don't know if he's going to be in commitment mode, if he's going to be in I'm going to wait out the draft mode, if he's going to be fielding other calls, whatever. I mean, he's a guy, we talked about being patient and, holding on and not overpaying. So, you've got the funds later. He's a guy where I think it would be an exception personally. Like if he's looking for $3 million out of the portal, I would just offer him that right now. I'd offer him 3.1, say sign today if it was me, but it's not me. So we'll see on that. But Arkansas needs a starter at the 5 and they need depth there. I'm told that there's been a mutual gauging of interest, maybe the best way to put it, between Arkansas and Kansas big man Flory Badunga, who I believe is going to be a star. And so that's super intriguing to me. I like to hear it. He's Indiana or Auburn until I hear otherwise. Until we start hearing some more about that communication developing there, it kind of strikes me as everybody knows Arkansas's got that chicken money. So if we can get them on the list as a threat, maybe we can drive that asking price up a little bit. I wonder if that's what we're dealing with here. I'm going to assume that's the case until we hear more. Is there a Zoom? Is there a visit? Is there a list cut? Some other intel that comes out from that. It's kind of where I'm at with that. Jaden Quaintance, big name that we've been waiting on. Committed to Cal at Kentucky, immensely talented young player. It's going to be a 2-year college player. Winds up getting a bag at Arizona State. Didn't come to Arkansas with Cal. Winds up being all defensive team in the Big 12, all freshman team in the Big 12. Now he's in the portal. Great. The only problem is he just had ACL surgery. Like just had it. And they say they're hoping he'll be cleared for activity sometime in September or whatever. Maybe he will be. That's a quick turnaround. Listen, I expect Arkansas to be a player in this game. And I hope, let me be clear, I hope they get him. But man, oh man, like after Trevin's post ACL season where he just didn't look right. And then this year, just the run of tough luck with Jonas and Adu and Boogie, and just one thing after another on the injury front. I'm super weary of going all in on a guy who's going to be 6 months or so post major knee surgery, especially a man that size. So look at as far as I'm concerned, go for it. Sure. And he then would be for me like the ultimate high ceiling wild card, but you better still get a starting caliber big and a playable in the SEC depth piece in case he has setbacks. Cause you never know what it's going to look like in a recovery like that. Or if he has to be on a minutes restriction and a build up early on, what it's going to look like because he won't be able to practice with the team throughout the course of the summer. So building that continuity, the chemistry on the floor, learning the system, getting in shape. Does he need knee management? I know everybody's like, no, don't say that. But whatever in between, I would not get him banking on, okay, this dude's going to be our 30-minute a game starter the entire year, is all I'm saying. And he might wind up being that, and it might wind up screwing somebody else over that you get, but I just would be very, very cautious about putting all my eggs in that basket, given your luck with injuries here recently. So who else? A few names. Malik Ewan is just a name I remain super, super intrigued by out of Florida State. We talked about him a little bit yesterday, long as a Monday at the office, 6'11", 235, 240. He's a really good offensive five. I was watching some tape on him. Love what he's able to do in pick and roll game. Can score it back to the basket, can face up and go a little bit. He's good. He's not going to stretch the floor and shoot it much, but he's pretty skilled in there as an offensive five. I like him as a rebounder, strong on the boards. I would be pretty stunned if Arkansas isn't in pursuit there. And so we're waiting on an official list for him. I know there's been some stuff out there that Arkansas has been in touch with him already. I haven't seen or confirmed that just yet, but like I said, I'd be shocked if that wasn't the case. Ade Mara, the big man out of UCLA, he would be a fun ad. He's 7'3", 240 pounds. I would personally prefer a, more physical and athletic type of big, but this dude is huge and he is very skilled. You continue to bring up names every day, even though somebody on Inside Arkansas Live today said this guy obviously doesn't know who Nick Pringle is. My brother, you must not listen to the Pod at the Palace because we talk about it on the daily. Mr. Pringle, who I think would just be an ideal platoon rotation big on a really good team. I don't think he's your starter on a title contender, but I think he can serve a purpose on a really good team if that's what he's looking for. So names like Nick Pringle, like Deshaun Jackson out of Iowa State, like those guys. I had someone bring up to me Quincy Ballard out of Wichita State, another huge body, average a near double-double. That is a big yes for me. That's a great pull, by the way. Hog Film Room, great pull. Arkansas was actually expecting him to hit the portal. I can't remember if it was last year before Muss left or the year before, and they were prepared to be on him under Musselman. Like it was a guy that they were maybe encouraging even to get into the portal because they liked him. And I like him a lot too. And I think I saw that he had visited or was planning on visiting Memphis, but he's good. I mean, he's a guy who could potentially be a starter for, like if you went out and got a Jaden Quaintance, for example, and you were just kind of wait and see mode, playing it slow with him or whatever. If a guy like Quincy had to, was starting for you in non-conference play or playing some extended minutes in a platoon with somebody else until Jaden was up and running, I think you'd be just fine. I really do. I think he's a nice player. So there's a lot of options who are still out there, and there's going to be more added every single day. We'll continue to keep our eye on it, but trying to figure out where to add that shooter as you're working on retention, that's one thing. But when it's just you can't have a position meeting at center because there are no centers. All right, it's Kenny Payne in there doing the mic and drill by himself. So you got to go get some big men. And it was an area where they were thin this year. They really only had two, and then Trevin is kind of the backup five when you needed him. So I was really thinking, okay, they're going to go out and get, they'll have three bodies maybe this year to have that extra depth just in case. Well, now Big Z has hit the portal, and I don't think Rattel is going to come in as a freshman and be a center. I know he's tall, but they're going to get at least two. I hope that they wind up getting three, whether it's two guys out of the portal and maybe you go get a player out of Europe somewhere, or maybe there's a young guy, a project freshman that you could get that I don't know about. I don't know, but depth is going to be something to really keep an eye on there in the front court for sure. But that's going to do it for tonight, folks. Hopefully, my goodness, hopefully we have something even cooler to talk about tomorrow. Like, can we get can we do a little news? Cal, just a little something, a little nugget, just satiate us a little bit, an appetizer, an hors d'oeuvre before we get to the real thing. Can we get a retention announcement? Can we get, I don't know, a visit set up, a Lamar Wilkerson announcement date, something, So I know we're all itching for the news. It's coming. But the sooner the better, because we're all getting a little bit impatient. But hey, appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, listening as always. Another long episode. That's just the way we got so much to talk about every single day. That by the end of the night when I record these, I wind up having a lot more to say than I initially plan on. Going into this, I was like, yeah, it ain't the season. These are going to be 10, 15 minutes a pop. Maybe they would be better that way, but I get to go and I'm like, man, we've actually got a lot we got to cover here. I want to cover all my bases. I don't want people in the comments going, oh, this happened, you didn't talk about it. Now I'm trying to avoid that. Okay. But at any rate, thank you guys as always for rocking with me, tuning in. Make sure you tap in tomorrow, subscribe to the Inside Arkansas YouTube page, follow the Pod at the Palace wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, you name it, we're there. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Been Curtis Wilkerson. Y'all have a good one.